This is Family in Focus with Dr. Wendy Schofer, episode number 114. Welcome back, my friends. You are in for a very special treat today. I'm hosting my first coffee chat, which if you pay attention, you will notice that there is no coffee being consumed because we're actually recording in the afternoon. And as much as I love coffee, I love sleep even more. I'm still calling it a coffee chat because I'm just full of contradictions. Anyway, so today I have the pleasure of introducing you to Jen Person. She is the badass founder of Boundless Horizon Leadership, Executive, and Personal Development Coaching. She's an amazing mom, and I'm going to just flat out admit she is my most favorite person in the whole world. She's my sister. I am inviting her on to kick off a series of these coffee chats of connections with people that are so meaningful to me, quite honestly, because of who they are and how they make me feel. And when I think about Jen, when I am around Jen, I feel connected. And if you listen to any of the podcast episodes, connection is what it's all about for me. So, of course, we're going to kick it off with Jen. I cannot wait to share her with you so that you can see and experience in person just how very special she is. Excited?
I'm excited.
You're excited? Okay, yes. Okay, anyway, I'm just going to be giddy here today. So I would love to just put out the introductions a while. Okay, it's been a long time coming. I know that I have said for eons that when I decided to host a guest on Family in Focus, that I was going back and forth. Was it going to be Pink or was it going to be you?
Oh, I'm in good company all around.
So, Corinne Crabtree beat both of you. So that's episode number 88, Corinne Crabtree. That being said, this isn't about an interview. This is about just a conversation. And I would love to share with the world my favorite person. That was not actually meant to be that way. But anyway, this is my sister, Jen, the coolest person. There you go. Oh, gosh.
Oh,
Hi,
yay.
honey. I am so glad to have you here.
I'm so glad to be here. I hope that our voices aren't so similar that people can't tell when you're talking when I'm talking, because as I've heard that we are similar.
Yeah, and yet different. I was actually reflecting on that earlier today. I was thinking about how, there's so many things that are just similar yet different. Like it's just fascinating seeing like just the ways that, so many things kind of come back around that we discover about ourselves that it's like, oh my God, you do that too. Oh my God, you have that in your cabinet. So do I. And yet so very different, as both of our husbands will remind everyone that we are vastly different people. Thank God.
Indeed, thank goodness.
Oh my goodness. So you just got back from a walk.
I did. We walk our dogs in the afternoon, sometimes at very similar times, even though we don't know it. So yes, we just returned from a walk. And so if this is video recorded, which I listen to your podcasts. I don't do them on video. And so the idea that I'm actually looking at you while we're doing this is a treat. Normally I'm listening to you as I'm walking, and I'm having these conversations just to my dog, not back to you. So this is a treat.
Oh, there you go. Totally a treat. And I guess that's one of the things we can always discuss if you want this shared to the YouTube or not. Oh, by the way, I have a YouTube. But anyway, that's little things you get to find out all along the way. So what's shaking in your neck of the woods?
Oh, what's shaking in my neck of the woods? School is almost out. So I every day, every work day, I try to squeeze in as much work goodness as I can, because it's fleeting. The kids are out of school in a week and a half. And so, yeah, I'm scrambling to get there, and then we'll scramble to start the summer and have a good one. So yeah, eking it out. Eking out the end of the year. They're doing it, and so am I.
Oh gosh. Well, I have a critter who just snuck back into the house. So, Yeah. So for those who are listening, our kids, so again, what's similar yet different is that we each have two children. We each have an elder daughter, a younger son, and everybody is exactly like it's like my
Yeah,
life part two, 10
right.
years later. Like
Just a
it's
10-year
just
leap.
the 10-year leap. Exactly. So I remember those days 10 years ago, with the kids getting out of school and everything. And now, the man child who you may have just heard slamming a door very loudly in the background as he's going out to work out in the garage, I think, has returned home from college and is just finding a new normal again. Like
Mm-hmm.
my space is being invaded. I had a whole couple of days of like glorious peace.
Yeah.
It was so lovely.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, the fact that it lasts for a short period of time probably makes it even lovelier. And then it changes and you're like, okay, well, this is the new normal. So
Yeah, I see
wasn't
where
that
you're going with
great?
that. I'm not so sure.
Wasn't that quiet spot great? And now we move on.
Yeah, and now we're moving on. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot the joy of some of those conversations, like loading up the dishwasher. Do you want to use the dishwasher or do you want to wash the dishes? Either way, we just got to agree on something here and figure it out.
As
So,
much as me living my life 10 years in your past and you living my life 10 years in the future, we are living a lot of the same things, right? Like there's not that much difference. The
so your
dishwasher battle
is
happens here
much
too
better
in
than
10 years.
mine. I am waiting for the moment that I actually break down and get that fancy pants dishwasher that you have. So,
Yeah,
um,
it's nice.
yeah. Well, and the pre-cleaner that you have and all that kind of stuff.
You
So
get sponsorships? I'll drop some names because it's a good one.
Oh, I am not getting into all the corporate stuff with all of that. No, not my style, not my
No.
style whatsoever. So, yeah,
Mm.
but I mean, this is just magical being able to connect and things. And I think that's, so much of what I was just hungry for was just like real conversations, real people. And I mean, this feels like it's very much like just getting to know each other and small talk and all that kind of stuff. But this is how we connect. And it's like
Mm.
comparing, it's comparisons, but it's like seeing my life and your life and that, I don't know, that
Yeah.
fun exchange.
Well, we do that. And then the awesome thing is that most of our conversations also have this moment of, let me tell you about this cool thing that just happened to me yesterday, or let me tell you about this awesome book that I'm reading right now, right?
Okay, so what you got?
Right. That always happens because every time I'm thinking about something, I'm like, I gotta call Wendy to tell her about this awesome book. And sometimes we go through the pleasantries and sometimes we go, hey, how you doing? I just read this awesome book. Let me tell you about it. And then we dive right in, right?
So I want to know. I mean, you just opened that wide open. What do you got? Oh
Well, it's right in my hand because I was reading it like just earlier today. So I have many books on my bookshelf. Some of them I've read halfway, some I've read all the way through, and some of them I have because I can say I have that book, and I sheepishly can admit also that I haven't actually read it in full. But this book that I have right here, you can't tell what it is, it's incognito, is Brene Brown's book. She has a sister too, right? And they call each other sister, which I think is adorable. But she has two sisters actually. So her book, The Atlas of the Heart, is one that is on my bookshelf that I have to sip in small doses because every time I read it, it just blows my mind. And I think, how have I been a human for this many years and not thought about things or not compared different emotions or states of the heart in the way that she describes it? And it just, I mean, sometimes almost brings me to tears because it just feels like it touches this, like, I knew that all along, but having it in words feels so, oh, like it just makes me feel more alive. And the one that I was reading today, the one that I'm sipping today, is about something like the places we go and things don't make sense or something like that. It's about this idea of having emotions that feel opposite, but that the oppositeness about them and experiencing the oppositeness about them helps us to feel more human. So confusion is one of them. And bittersweet is another one, right? It's these emotions where there's like nostalgia is also another one. It's so amazing. And I just love that there are words in our language and emotions that we can point to that are actually the combination of multiple sensations coming together and creating its own emotion. I just love that. To be able to put a word to that feeling is just so satisfying sometimes. Um, and it just reminds me of like the complexity of the human heart, right? And like our experience as humans is not one dimensional. It can be both bitter and sweet at the same time. It can be both, I'm remembering the past both fondly and with this sense of longing and yearning at the same time. And it can sometimes make me feel joyful at the end of that emotion. And sometimes it makes me feel really sad, but it's kind of the same emotion. Yeah. So that's why I'm sipping this book, because I can't go all the way through it. I have to read chunks of it at a time and just like sit with it and ponder it and wonder, what does that feel like? And how can I help my kids to understand this feeling and this word and putting them together? And
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm going to totally admit I have that book. It is a fabulous, fabulous paperweight for me. Like I have not yet been able to actually get into it. And so now like I gotta tell you, it's amazing. Like I'm not trying to diss anything with Brene Brown. It is not a book that I can throw in my backpack. You know me in my backpack.
it's
Okay.
heavy. It's a
It
heavy
is a
one.
heavy freaking book.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
I know. So it takes a commitment to actually sit down and read it when like you're at home and you're like, okay, I'm gonna pick this. And I get through it so slowly. I bought this book like a year and a half ago. And yet here I am just paging through it and finding these little nuggets of amazingness. Oh,
Oh, I love
yeah.
it. Okay.
Oh.
I love it that you said nuggets, but anyway, so
We both just came back from dog walks, and so that word has a little different connotation.
well, that and one of my clients always pokes fun at me that I'm always talking about the little nuggets.
Yeah, yeah,
So
I'm thinking
anyway,
that one too.
now I'm like, oh, it came from Jen. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I love your passion and enthusiasm and excitement. I could feel that in my heart as you were just
Mm.
describing just all of it. I'm like, oh, I need to like turn around and go find out exactly where on this crazy bookshelf is this book because I don't even know right now. But
Yeah.
okay, her sales just shot up. And
You're welcome, Brene. You're welcome. And it's a beautiful book too. Like part of it is just that it's not a paperback. It's a thick hardback book, but it's got beautiful pictures and drawings and colors. And it makes it easier to read too, because it's not like just this like thick pages of text. It's lots of different sort of chunks and bullets and things like that.
oh,
Just love it. I just love
well, and now I find myself questioning. So I'm turning over here because I've got this um pile of books that I'm readying to send with Joel as he is moving. So anyway, so my husband is moving to Guam. You already know this. I'm just kind of filling everybody else in. Anyway, so
He
he's
is
moving
moving. That hasn't
to the
come up at
other side.
all.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is news to you. So yeah, anyway, we're not going to get into all that drama. But anyway, so I'm going to go and visit him. And I'm like, hey, honey, will you just take some
Mm.
books for me? Because while it may be a beautiful tropical island, I burn. So I need other things to do besides being on the beach. And so I'm sending along books and yeah, pretty much books.
Mm.
I'm going to be a very well-read person after visiting. But I was like, oh, now I gotta go find my Atlas of the Heart and figure out why is it not on this book pile? I don't know.
Oh, the hardest part of you doing that though is that means that you are on the other side of the world while you're reading this book and getting inspired and jazzed, and you won't be able to just pick up the phone and be like, "Get out of bed, let's talk about wonder and awe."
Oh, that's what you think. Okay, I'm sorry. Do you think this is a once and done conversation? No way, man. And
No, it's
we're
true.
gonna figure that out because your son is a very good time zone calculator
He
and
is very good
definitely
at that.
figure out.
He
Uh,
loves to practice that. He actually gets it right 95% of the time, and we get it wrong about 50% of the time. And so we're often arguing with him, like, no, that's not right. And he's like, yeah, it is. 9-year-old, there it is. Yeah, it is. Comes out a lot. Yeah, it is, mama. I got it.
I love it. Like, what is it about like boys at that age and like those calculations and just like having the facts and figuring
Mhm.
out? And of course, we are so very wrong.
Yes. Oh gosh, I am wrong most of the time now, which I'm just getting used to that. There's an emotion in this book somewhere about that, of just being okay with being wrong. I haven't gotten to it yet, but it's coming. I'm coming.
Oh man. Well, like Lisa Feldman Barrett was talking about, the construction of emotions and how there's
Hmm.
just different things that we may not have the word for it, but you know what it is.
Yeah.
And I was
Mm.
talking about that recently about that feeling like when a purring cat is coming towards you, like I feel that. And mind you, like, my cat, this is so infrequent that my cat is actually trying to come near me, let alone actually purring. And
Uh-huh.
I'm feeling this whatever loving emotion. But it's like, no, I'm actually thinking about my daughter's cat. That was the loving cat. So
Mhm.
but yeah,
Mhm.
When Minnie would come towards me and purring and
Mhm.
just like, oh, come here, girl, just
Yeah.
lay down in my lap. I don't know.
Mm.
It's not anticipation, it's just kind of like, this feeling. It's this
Yeah.
warmth. I'm like, oh, this is so cool, just geeking out on emotions that I don't even know what it is, but I feel it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Ah, I think one of the best gifts of like being in conversation with other people is to sense their emotion and start talking about getting really specific about the words, because I think you can only really do that when you're in conversation. It's hard for me to sit here and be like, what is it that I'm feeling right now? Nope, it's not that. It's not that. Is it this? No, it's not that. It's almost impossible to do that and get really specific about it when you're by yourself, but being with someone else and being connected to someone else in a way that you could describe something and you'll be like, yeah, I think I got the feeling. I'm just going to help you try to find a word for it. It feels so
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's just that exhale. I know what you mean.
good. Because when you were describing the mini walking towards you, I was thinking, I don't have a cat in my life presently, but I'm think about like what it's like to have a small child toddle toward you when they're like locked in on your eyes, and maybe their body language is that like, I know this guy's coming for me and I know it's going to be beautiful. And so that feeling of like having a small child coming towards you for comfort or for joy or for play or just something, they're just walking towards you and you just know that you are the target of their love. Oh, golly, that feels so good.
There you go. And that is why I went into pediatrics.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to coin a word for that. You should, if there isn't one, you should come up with what it is, like what that feeling is.
It's fascinating because the first thing that comes to my mind as I'm thinking about that, and of course, the whole purring cat thing is like that anticipation. But I mean, that was the thing that I recognized that I joke around, go figure, I'm always doing that, but I joked around that that's what I missed the most during COVID, those early days, because I was like, oh, I get paid in hugs, like having
Mm,
kids, moms, even the occasional dad,
yeah.
offering a hug in the office, but that whole, like, you see them coming, and you're like, bring it on, like
Yeah.
that feeling. And yeah, I don't know. I've never thought about coining a new feeling.
Yeah. There's a new
Wow.
word for that.
Hmm.
It makes me also wonder too, going down a different path, how did you navigate that afterwards? Like, how did you get to the point where like you invited that coming together from other people who you weren't quite sure how comfortable they might be with it? Like, how did you navigate that, like as a doctor in the office, of when it was
Easy.
okay to do that again and when, how to
Oh,
invite people to do that?
Okay. I was like, oh, it's easy. I just like call you out and I'm like, I would like to offer you a hug.
Uh,
And they're like, I received that. It generally goes down. even smoother than that. But so you're talking about navigating post-COVID kind of stuff.
Yeah, post-COVID, like, is that so important to you in how you communicate in the office? And I'm sure a lot of your patients were familiar with that too, but how
Yeah.
did you welcome that back into the space afterwards?
Wow, I'm totally going back in this. So I remember that there were a couple of non-pediatric words that were going through my head as this child is coming at me. I'm like, oh, 6 feet kid, 6 feet kid. And then I was like, screw it. I'm like, I'm
Mm,
in a bunny suit. Bring it on. It's
mm,
like, kids who didn't understand for whatever reason. And I started questioning it all. I was
mm,
like, hold on a minute. There's this big like abyss and it's like 6 feet apart. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm missing this. They're missing this. You know, kids, and in particular, there were, kids who were nonverbal for so many different reasons that were the ones that were like breaking it all down. They were like, I
mm,
don't understand this, whether it was the little kid,
mm,
the toddler, whether it was, I remember a very, very sweet boy that I met in urgent care who was nonverbal and with autism. And he somehow, like, he came in and was so uncomfortable at the beginning of the visit, but yet at the end, he's like giving me hugs. And that's when I was like, this is silly. Like, we've
yeah.
built a connection here. And that is something that it was magical to see what happened in the office. And not only that, I could just say that, he could see that. He could
Mm,
express that in his way,
yeah.
which was a hug. And I'm like, oh, that's my
Mm,
language too. We're speaking the same language here.
yeah.
And I don't know. I, I don't know. It's just one of those things. Like, I find that there's like a whole bunch of like kind of trite phrases that are coming into my head right now. Like, you only live once. Like, okay, no, I'm not going out because of a hug, but just uh, there was so much more that evolved with information about COVID and what we need to do. And of course, on the practical side of things, you know, I was working in urgent care the vast majority of the time. Nobody's coming to see me because they are feeling fabulous and really
Mm.
healthy today. So I'm always wearing a mask, just because I can love you, but I don't need to love your cooties. So,
Mhm.
I mean, there's all sorts of different layers of that. But
Mm,
yeah,
mm.
gosh.
Yeah, you just don't think about that as when you can't do that, you don't realize how much of a line of communication that is, how communication goes on so many levels. It's not just about
Yeah.
the verbal communication, but it's just like your ability to see each other, your ability to make eye contact with each other, your ability to just sense this energy between you and to be able to communicate through hugs and just proximity to each other too. Sometimes you can have that communication when you're just sitting near someone, not necessarily, or just leaning toward them rather than
Mm.
actually hugging or touching or feeling, you know what I mean? It's like there's an energy that comes from just observing somebody else's posture while you're in the room with them too.
I love how this is just this is how we chitty chat. And I was like, oh man, this could be like totally an interview about emotions.
Oh, you don't have to interview about emotions. I want to talk about it all the time anyway. It's fun.
And I think that that's fine because this is what we do. And this is why I wanted to connect with you.
Mm,
And I think that, I mean, so much of what I talk about is about connection. And connection for me is a feeling. Okay. I'm sorry. You could argue whatever you want to argue. That's an emotion for me. I'm feeling it. I know what it feels like.
mhm,
I know what it feels like when it's not there. um, and I don't feel that with anyone else the way I feel it with you. And I think that that is something
mhm.
that I want to be able to share with the world. And, I know that this conversation is different from what I've had on other episodes of the podcast. Like, yeah, by the way, okay, this is me, all me. Joel was like, I don't like listening to you when you're on recordings because it doesn't sound like you. I'm like, that's me. He's like, not the real you. I'm like, oh, you mean the one that's like really uncertain and really emotional and really kind of like stuttering when she's speaking because she's trying to find the right words, goes really fast and then gets kind of slow when she's introspective. Is that the one? He's like, yeah, that's you.
Ah, ah,
Yeah, I edit that out on some of those.
yeah. Oh, so I'm gonna bring it back for a second too. This is something that I learned today too about how um uncertainty when you understand. Oh, this was brilliant. Uncertainty in experts is actually much more valued in terms of their credibility than being absolutely certain. So to hear someone say out loud, I used to think this, and now I'm rethinking that, and I'm beginning to think about it in a slightly different way, actually creates more credibility for that person than someone who is like, this is the way it is, I'm certain of it, and comes out, really confident, overconfident about their perspectives. And I think that's brilliant. It's brilliant about facts and people who are knowledgeable and experts about things. And it's also brilliant about emotions too, because Brene Brown talks about in this book, when I hear someone say, you know what, I'm kind of feeling this way, but I don't really know, I don't really understand it. She said that feels uncertainty in emotions feels like self-awareness, not confusion. Boom.
Okay. We're going to have a three-way with Brene. Oh my God, I can't believe I just said that, but you know what I mean. Okay, Brene, you're invited. We
Yes, you're invited.
talk about
The
this.
sisterhood.
Sister.
It's the sisterhood.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah.
And I think that that's been the magic in the office
Mm.
over years. Like, so many people are like, well, how does that work? Like, how do you build, relationships in the office? And part of it, I, of course, would joke around about, how I've got my street cred up here, my tinsel that people start like, oh, you have kids, don't you? I'm like, oh, let me tell you about it. I'm not coloring this because I came by this honestly.
That's right. This is
Oh,
credibility here, people.
but I think that it's also just over time, I was like, I have no idea what the answer is right now. I
Mhm.
have no idea what the diagnosis is. How often I would say, you know what, we're going to turn to Google for doctors. It's called Up to Date, but it's really a Google for doctors. And just acknowledging it. And also, yeah, like I don't know what the answer is, but together we're going to figure out what the next step is. Like
Mhm.
and that's, building that connection. It's like we don't know what the certain, or
Mhm.
we don't have a certain answer. We don't know that. But yet it doesn't matter when we're working on it together.
Mhm. Yeah.
Gosh, I love
Mm.
this. You
Mm.
are amazing. So I'm mindful of time.
Yeah, you were trying to wrap it up, and I'm like, hold up a second.
Oh, hold up. Okay, I love it. So mind you, if you saw my eyes go over, meanwhile, Joel's calling and like,
Mm.
no, 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 you're not doing this right now. Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
So,
Nope.
because that would have been a very interesting, calling it a three-way, very interesting add to this
Yes.
conversation, which
Well.
we are not going down that hill. I know where you were going there. Anyway, so hey, awesome. I got to tell you straight up, I want to invite you back because this is
Okay.
just part of the invite you back. That's funny. Anyway, um,
We do this all the time. You're not
we
invited.
do this all the time. But I think that there's so much more here. And I love being able to share what I love with the world. By the way, that's you. Okay.
Mm.
Oh gosh, I love you. I didn't actually introduce your full name. You know that?
Well, you did sort of, I thought.
Well, okay, okay. So Jen person is my favorite person, and that's not poking fun at the other folks who are also last name person. So, but it's true, very
That's
true.
true. That's
So
true. Yes.
anyway, all right, my love, I am going to say to you as well as to everyone else, and I will see you all again next week. How about that?
Stay brave, stay funny, stay kind. What was the thing?
All right.
Okay.
I got no better way to cut it off. No, I'm not going to do that. All right. So Jen's giving me all the different ways that I should be signing off on my podcast. So what do you think we should do today?
Oh, well, I think if I did that, I would probably be stealing somebody else's, but I'm saying all the good podcasters have like a sign off where they say like,
Okay, I'm going to take that personally right now.
right. Well, not all the good, you know, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's ways to, oh, I don't know. It sounds cheesy. I'm
I
not
do
even.
believe if I go back to when I'm not chitty chatting, it's always much love.
Yes.
By the way, that's also how I sign all my emails and everything else. So
I'm saying go with it. Mwah, much love.
thank you. Okay. We will apparently work on this as well. I love you.